Got an interesting one today. It's we've been hearing it literally across the country. I got a great text from my coach as well today, Jeff, and I'm excited. I'm going up to Michigan next week to get coached up by him and a lot of other top agents. Our other part of our coaching we do, Mike Ferry, they're having their event in Vegas, so that's pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of changes. This market is definitely doing something where we don't know for sure. We have an idea, but we're also not naive to think it's going to get a little crazy. All right, let's get ourselves started here. Let's look in about 20 minutes. Hopefully, give you a good 20 minutes of things that we are seeing and what's going across the country. I got people in New York, Michigan, Florida. That we've been working with and coaching with recently. So this is pretty much across the board, guys. I mean, these type of things are happening everywhere, and it might not be happening yet for your market, but it's a really good opportunity for you to listen in so you are ready for it when it takes shape. So what are we seeing? Okay. I don't know about you, but we recently were just talking to our ISA, and our ISA was telling us. I said, well, what do you see is working? What's more, expired or FISBO? She's like, man, I talk to more FISBOs than I talk to anybody right now. Okay. FISBOs are starting to really feel this, and we're going to share with you very shortly why. So people are saying, are we seeing a slowdown? What's taking shape? Is this really coming to fruition? What's happening? And so when I had my coaching Monday, I was telling my coach, I said, here's the thing, what's happening with FISBOs, but happening with the market itself, we're seeing the price improvements going up right now. Why is that? Is because sellers have been like, how high can they possibly go, because we're getting all these multiple offers. But here's the thing, why we're seeing a slowdown. And when I worked for the pools with my buddy Brian Sheehan, one of the things that we've come to realize is after July 4th, just like anything, when a new restaurant takes shape, when anything happens, like what is it? Like everybody rushes to see what it is, and then it dies down. Pools are the same thing. Everybody rushes to the pool. It's exciting. It's fun. But by after July 4th, the attendance goes down in pools because people are like, it's too hot. I'm tired. I've already swam. I don't want to go anymore. Well, the same thing is going on right now is vacations. There's three key things with vacations. If you went to any webinar or webcam and put in a beach, a pier, coastals, whatever it is, especially being that we're so close to the coast here in Charlotte, I guarantee you those web cameras are full of people. Everybody's on vacation right now. July 4th is such a big week. People aren't driving around looking at homes. Majority of society and right now is on vacation. Guess what else took place? The American Relief Bill came into play, and the government gave everybody a lot of money. They're taking that money, and I assure you, and I'm not trying to be mean to everybody that's there, that's listening or anything else, if they're spending it on vacations. They're not saving it, putting it in a savings account. The majority of the people are putting it on vacation. Why? Is because we realize that 45% of people are going on vacation. There's going to be an increase up to 45% of people going on vacation or going to be spending more during their vacation than they have in the last 2 years. Well, why is that? It's because of COVID. All right. COVID made everybody stay at home last summer. So they are itching to get out. So people are more prone to get out. So between a vacation, the American Relief Bill, people getting money, and 45% of people wanting to spend more money and go on vacation more than ever, they're not looking at homes right now. July is usually our real kind of like our slowdown. I don't want to say it's a holiday, but it's close to a holiday because people are not driving around looking at homes. It doesn't mean it's a slowdown, that the market is shifting. It just means that there's not as many people looking. Well, the other ingredient that is taking place, and if I had a little light bulb to put above my head, if the buyers are like, huh, I think that home's a little bit overpriced. It's not worth it. Buyers are becoming more educated, like looking at these dollar amounts. Okay, I wrote down here in my notes. Buyers are coming from a scarcity mindset, like racing. I mean, how many of us, especially as real estate agents, were saying to ourselves, oh my goodness, we got to go show this property immediately, or there's going to be 12 offers. I'm going to have a lineup to get into the house. excuse me, like they're coming from a scarcity mindset, like racing, getting there, coming up with ridiculous prices. And the buyers were feeding into it because the buyer agents were also like, we got to hurry, we have to go. All this scarcity mindset was coming into play. And don't get me wrong, everybody, we had no choice. You had to do that if they wanted the house, and you had to come up with the ridiculous offers and ridiculous dollar amounts. But things have now shifted and changed on that. So what happens is now the seller's price are not aligning up with the buyer's price. And so the sellers now are sitting on these homes thinking like, I'm going to sell my house in a day. I mean, this house sold in a day, or this house down the road sold in a day. Well, maybe 2 months ago that was the case. A month ago is the case. And don't get me wrong, it's still there. Like it's not as if it's not there. But if you look on the days on the market, I guarantee you they've increased on an average across the board because not as many buyers, and buyers are becoming more intelligent. The other thing is buyer agents are becoming more intelligent too, and they're actually setting the expectations to the client. I did one recently where I was taking a client and I showed them property and I'm like, this home is way overpriced. I can't find the comps to be able to do it. And so we sat on it and we haven't made an offer. Well, the properties had two price improvements. The seller at the time when it first came on the market, we were in that aggressive mindset. It's like, well, if we want to make an offer, we are going to come in at this lower price. And we were much lower than what the asking price was. And the seller basically told us to go fly a kite. Well, the house is still on the market. That's 6 weeks ago. Okay. It's a very high price point, but it the principle behind it is the sellers were throwing outrageous dollar amounts. Listing agents were saying yes to it. And buyer agents were coming from a scarcity mindset, like we need to rush over there, we need to get it. And buyers are feeding into it. And then that's how that roller coaster kept going and going and going. And now we have a little bit of a break. We have a little bit of a pause. And I'm making a note here why FISBOs are becoming more popular. I'm going to share with you very shortly why. But when we're making offers now, don't go above asking price. Okay. Go in at that asking price. Due diligence money does not need to be that high anymore. Okay. We have a lull. Sellers might be more attractive to take that price right now because they are like, oh my gosh, my house has been sitting here for 7 days. My house has been sitting here for 13 days. That was unheard of. It was crazy. I remember listing a house and we'd be in our office and be like, and an agent would say like, oh my gosh, my house has been on the market for 3 hours and I still haven't got an appointment. That's how crazy it was. Like within hours, we'd have 15 and 20. Some of them even coming soon, we would have offers before we would go live. Okay. So the market has shifted. So I'm sorry, the market has not completely shifted. It's just we're in a lull because of where the country is in the season of summer, vacations, traveling. And there's so many people I'm hearing now is like, we are taking advantage of our family time of going someplace. We weren't able to do this last year, especially if you're in a moment of your season of your family where this is the last time our kids are all going to be together. My son's going off to college, or something's taking place in the family, or we're getting older. We might not be able to physically go on this type of vacation next year. So people are more involved with the family and the vacations, and they're forgetting about their life because COVID just was like, oh, just get me out of this house. Okay. Now, for those of you that are on here, feel free to please send some notes in my chat, especially on Facebook Live, and for those on Zoom. But send some notes if you do have some questions or anything about this. So the slowdown is basically because of vacation. We're not seeing any signs that the market is going to shift. People ask me, how long is this going to last and when is this going to take shape for? Basically, what typically happens is during the summer months right now, we usually have a lull that leads us almost to point of school starting. So this will last about 6 weeks. This year, especially because the way the school is set up, like especially in our area, some of the schools are starting early August, some of them are starting at the end of August. So the whole August, now different parts, I know New York doesn't start until beginning of September. So you might have a little bit of a grace period where this might not be hitting you until maybe towards the end of August. But when school starts, especially this year, because we're done with COVID, People are going to be going back into school. There's going to be a lot of questions like, am I vaccinated? Am I not vaccinated? Who can come in? Who can't come in? What school supplies do I need? What needs to be cleaned? Do I need to have this sanitized? Like, there's going to be a lot of things going on and a lot of more emails than normal. So parents are going to be more on top of things this year to make sure everything is okay, because they probably want to make sure that their kid goes to school and they're not missing anything. So we're going to see that little lull, I think, carried to the end of August in our area here, where we're going to see a big, it's going to go right back up, shoot back up. It typically does September, October. Then we get to that time period where Thanksgiving and the holidays start to sit in. So I think we're gonna have a lull. I think it's going to pick back up again, is what the CFOs and they're forecasting what's going to take shape. And I think this is going to carry into our 2022, and we're going to have a phenomenal spring market again. Is what they're saying. Now, I'm no like the forecaster of financials. I'm just telling you what I read and what I see, so we can kind of see that. So one of the things that we say during the holidays when it comes time for sellers, take advantage of the market. All right. Only we have first a lack of inventory, and now we still have buyers out there, everybody. There are still buyers in this market, and they still need to buy. So that will take shape. So just make sure that you are prepared for that. Sorry, Crystal just bumped. I'm in. Oh, let's see, make sure she's muted. So just make sure you are prepared for that. Now, we talked about the buyers and the sellers. We talked about how um, they are scarcity and abundance. We talked about the buyer agent. So let me share with you real quick about FSBOs. Why are FSBOs attractive right now? Okay. Talked about my ISA and how she has been, what she's seeing more of is the FSBOs increase in the conversation. So when you have a for sale by owner, majority of for sale by owners, probably 90% of them have never sold a house before. They are doing it to save money, and they're doing it for the first time ever. They're doing it because a neighbor across the street sold their house in a day. They're doing it from their family, or their friends sold their house in a day. They're doing it because somebody they know sold their house in a day. That's all they know. And they just think like, let me stick it out, see what happens. Well, what's happening is for sale by owners are not selling their house in a day. They're not selling it in 2 days. They're not selling it in 3 days. And guess what happens? I'm getting worried. I'm getting nervous. And typically in a relationship, when a husband and a wife, one person is the dominant and wears the pants in the relationship, and the other person is the analytical person. Sometimes the person who thinks they're dominant really are not. Usually it's the husband who thinks like, oh, I got everything under control, but realistically it's the wife that controls it. But the wife usually brings, and I'm not trying to be sexist in any way, but a lot more of emotion. So when the husband or the person who's controlling the decision tries this out, the other person's like, hey, you tried this. It's been 3 or 4 days. You told me the house would be for sale by or would be sold now. All we've been getting are real estate agents calling us. We haven't gotten a buyer yet. Nobody's shown the property, and we're going into the next weekend. The next weekend comes along, and their house is still not under contract. And so, for sale by owners are starting to get a little bit more worried. Now, this is not across the board. This is just a tendency we're starting to see because the for sale by owner days on the market are increasing. And that's just because we're seeing it in our market as well, for traditional sales are increasing. So theirs are going to increase too. But they're just in really unknown charters. So you have a really good opportunity, agents, to call more for sale by owners and guide them and say, hey, it's going to be okay. I like to be able to come over your house. Let me share with you what we can do to help you get through this, because we have a short window before the market's supposed to pick back up again in September, October. Here's why it's a good time for you to sell right now. But you got to understand these for sale by owners are completely in unknown charter, in unknown waters. They're not too sure what's going on. They're very nervous. They want to be strong on the outside, but deep down they're not too sure. So you got to ask deeper questions. You got to ask them, how long are they willing to wait? I literally ask them, are you a little concerned that your house hasn't sold in 2 weeks? Have you thought about it? What type of marketing are you doing? Have you done an open house? Do you have more agents calling you, wanting to preview? Or do you have true, ready, willing, and able buyers coming through your door? Because that's got to be annoying, having to stop your day every single time to do this. Okay. Putting these things and these thoughts inside their head, because they are uncertain to begin with. So keep that in mind when you're dealing with for sale by owners, for those that call it for sale by owners that are there. Anybody got any questions or anything they want to add? Because I'm going to shift into what we need to do when you're a listing agent for price improvements. That was the big thing that we had. So, anybody got anything? If you do, just throw it on the chat. So, how do we set this up? See, I like price improvements because it's very easy at the time period when price improvements come because I've already had the conversation. So I had a listing Saturday, and my clients, potential clients, want to. We talked about going in a much higher price point, $50,000 more of a price point. Okay. I don't say no to that high price point as long as we have this type of conversation. And so, for those of you who are taking notes, this is in the seller presentation. I call it the price improvement expectations. And we have this conversation. I share with them the dollar amounts of what I see going on with the home. So, basically what takes place is I say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I just want to let you know I have no problem with listing your house. So in this case here, 475, 450 was a very, very high number for what we were looking for. But across the board, I think that there was something like, hey, let's see if it sticks at the wall. People say, what are the market analysis? What do your comps look like? I'm like, I don't know, just throw those out the window because it's been crazy in this market because you really never know. So when we say set the expectations, my conversation continued as, so if we list your house at 475, I know my next buyer audience sits below 450. So I just want you to be aware that my first price improvement will be $25,000 because I have to get to the next buyer audience. I also want to tell you the time period that is going to be between 17 and 21 days because I also know that it gets me through 2 weekends, which possibly could have an open house. Yes, we still do open houses on our team. That we do open houses, and I can get enough feedback and data from the real estate agents who are showing this property to figure out whether they like it, not like it, or more importantly, if it's overpriced. We also will know that if nobody comes and looks at your property, that we are too high on it because we are in the cricket phase. We will then go to 450. If 450 does not work, I want you to know that the next buyer audience is at 425. So yes, within 30 days, we could be doing a $50,000 price improvement. If you do not like that, then we will start at 450 and work our way down. But these are the expectations. Everything's done in 17 to 21 days. Everything is put into play. We actually bring price improvement forms with us and we write down the exact terms and we have them sign them at that time period. Okay. Part of the slowdown, I believe, is doing it. Okay, I'll get back to that, Greg. So the key ingredient is making sure that it's written down as well, because we've also gotten ourselves in a position when we used to do this, was when they would say yes to it, and then the time period comes when we do the price improvement. They're like, well, I'm not too sure. Now it's like, oh no, we have already signed this piece of paper. It doesn't usually happen as long as you set the expectations ahead of time. And so we basically have the plan in place. Want to let you know this is what we'll start off at. This is where we'll go with it. And then this is what we will do. And here are the time periods and here are the statistics behind it. For those of you that are in the Carolinas MLS, our Carolinas MLS in showing time, and for those of you that want to have this, just let me know. I can send you over this video. But it's a showing time. I had a really good conversation with one of the agents I was helping. Her name is Elisa. And we went through a target analysis, and showing time, it gives you a breakdown per zip code, per subdivision, broken it down 30, 60, 90 days. It will tell you how many buyer appointments are in that, like in that exact area within that price range. So we could break it down from 450 to 475, 425 to 450, and 400 to 425, even 370. Like we can break it down whatever increments that we want, and it'll tell me how many showings took place in that price point. Well, why is that important? Well, when I'm trying to do a price improvement, and this is being done at the listing, I share with them, listen, between 450 and 475, we have 6 people looking right now in your zip code. When I get to 425 to 450, I have 27 people looking. So the first phase could be a little bit slower because I don't have as many buyers. If you're okay with that, then just let you know ahead of time. But if you want to jump right into the deep end, here's where the 27 buyers are sitting. Maybe you want to start off at this lower price point so you can go into that, so you can have a better chance, so you can move quickly on the home and maybe possibly get yourself in multiple offers. But we use that in our showing time with is our target analysis, and we break it down so then that way they can see. And it's literally in a chart. It looks really good. So for those that want to know that, just let us know. We can help you out with that. But when it comes time for to get the price improvement plan, and you call your client up, no joke, this is what takes place. The day that the price improvement comes in, ring, ring. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, how are you? Hey, Brock, how are you doing? I said, good, good. How are things going? Oh, wonderful. Well, the reason for my call, Brock, I know it's time to reduce our price. Well, yes, it is. We talked about that at our listing presentation. Nope, we're fine with it. We figure that's why you were calling. You already have the paperwork, so we're good to go. We're excited. You feel confident that that we're going to get it in this price point? I certainly do. I see the numbers here. I definitely appreciate you guys, working with me and allowing this to for us to continue on our plan. And I feel very good that we're going to find something in this new buyer audience. I just want to let you know we will be making that change this afternoon. So just be ready. Hopefully your phone will continue or start to ring a little bit more with showings. Okay, that's it. How many agents who are on here listening right now, if you ever had to do a price improvement, never have the conversation, didn't talk about it at the listing, didn't talk about it all, like cringe when you have to make a price improvement? And I say improvement because people always actually the one person at the listing is like, why do you call it an improvement? Because I'm improving our chances to get a buyer. That's what I'm doing. So when you use price decrease, it's a negative type of thing inside your head. And I like to try to keep things as positive as we can. So I say we're doing a price improvement. It's a really great way for us to increase our audience for our buyers and to be able to sell your home. So we're going to improve the chances of selling your house with doing this. Okay. But if you never have these conversations, then guess what? It's very challenging to be able to have it. Here's the other reason why it's challenging. Because when you were at the listing presentation, you probably said the market is extremely hot. We're going to be able to sell your house quick. This is going to be no problem at all. This is easily. Why? Because listing agents who get their first listing or just started or haven't done any listing presentation practice, you come from like, I need this listing. This listing is going to sell. It's 400,000. You already spent the $12,000 in the commission already. It's like, and you probably, if you're not even handling objections, you probably are going to take it even at 2.5%, 2%. So you've already spent your $8,000, your $10,000. So you're willing to do whatever it takes to be able to get there. What happens is you're already setting yourself up for failure. And every day the house sits on the market with no activity, nothing going on. How do you think that seller's feeling? Especially if they interviewed several agents. Honey, I don't know if we made the right choice. I'm not too sure. So when an agent has to go back and say, hey, I want to do a price improvement, the first thing the seller thinks like, oh, of course, you want to drop the home sale of my house. Well, what marketing have you done? It's much more challenging to get your point across because you didn't set yourself up. You didn't give yourself any you didn't give them any expectations. Okay. So we got about 4 minutes and wrapping this thing up here. Key things. Talked about the slowdown. Why? It's just vacations, everybody. They're on vacations. People are out and about. They're spending more money. They're spending more time with their family. They are not looking for homes as much right now. Okay. Buyers and sellers aren't aligned in the numbers anymore. They used to be, but the buyers are becoming more intelligent. They're coming from an abundance. Like, hey, you just sit there, seller. You see what that takes place. All right. You're just not gonna, I'll wait for you to drop your price to the normal market. I'm not reaching for the stars on that one. Okay. Sellers are having to make that change. Seller agents are in a tight pinch if they didn't set the expectations for the price improvement. Buyer agents are educating the buyers. people are now coming in more at the asking price, if not even a little bit below. Remember those back in those days when due diligence was much lower? Remember back in the day when we actually negotiated a lot more? We negotiate below the price, not instead of negotiating above the price. Escalation clauses are becoming a little bit less. Appraisal addendums, be careful of those right now, buyers. You may not need that as much. And then setting up seller presentations. Are you practicing your seller presentations with the price improvement in your conversation? Are you making that a focal point? Are you making that part of your presentation? And it should be, because sellers will be greedy. They want to get as much money as they can. And I agree with them, but it has to be on my terms. It has to be on my watch. If it doesn't, then we have a challenge. We have a conversation. And during the price improvement conversation, I say, what price are you not willing to go below? That's like the bonus question that we always do on our team. What price are you willing not to go below? Because if they're not reaching your price improvement and it's not at that point, then you as an agent have a decision to make to say, hey, I can't take your listing because I don't think it's going to sell at this price, or we're going to have an appraisal problem or whatever it might be, and you're not willing to agree to my price improvement plan. I mean, like I said, I don't care if we start at this price, but here's my price improvement plan. Here are the forms I have on what we're going to do. All right. So hopefully you guys were able to get some information. It is about 1:30. I like to make these about 30 minutes, as well as give anybody out there an opportunity to ask me any type of questions or put something into the chat. Let's see. Part of the slowdown, Greg said, part of the slowdown, I believe, is due to buyer fatigue and not all related to summer vacation. Buyers are basically forced to pay over market prices because sellers are taking advantage of low demand. This is not sustainable. Yes, absolutely. It is not sustainable. We will see a shift. It is a combination of the lack of inventory, but we're not seeing as many buyers right this second because they're all in little vacation mode, doing their little thing. For what they have going on, because they are spending family time. But yeah, the lack of inventory is not going away anytime soon. The interest rates are still going to be remaining low. It's going to carry into 2022. They do say that it probably, if we're going to see a full, complete pop, it will be 2023. But we will not see the prices skyrocketing the way we have been. It will plateau. Anybody else got anything that they want to add, say? Hopefully you guys got something. If you're out there, if you don't mind liking my page. If you are learning a little bit more about our coaching and what we do, we have different levels of our coaching platform that I do, as well as our team. Feel free to reach out to me. We are pretty excited to be able to continue to help other agents out there, especially more at a national level out there. So some things that might be a little bit different in your area, please let us know. We like to learn. We learn a lot from different parts of the country. It's one of the great things about being with a national company. I was with National, both with Keller Williams and now with EXP. So it's cool being able to see what's happening in Texas, Seattle, California, New York. It helps us out being able to forecast what we got next around over the bend, so that way we can be prepared. As they say in GI Joe, the more you know, the better you're prepared. Or the more you know, what was GI Joe? Now I can't remember it. Knowing is half the battle, and it is so true. Knowing is half the battle. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody being on here, those on Facebook, those that left some chats here, as well as on Zoom. And thank you guys so much. Have a great day, and practice those price improvement scripts. All right, guys, talk to you later. Bye.